to a new Harry's Garage video, and this video is going to be all about this Porsche 930S, the Sonderwunsch Special Wishes Porsche I bought last year. And the last time we saw it was when we got back from Spain. We did that trip around Spain and it was just fantastic. Well, a whole load of things have happened since then with this car, and I'm annoyed with myself because right at the beginning of that video I said, oh, I'll tell you about all the things I found out about this car. If you wind right back to the video I put out just before Christmas on this car, we didn't have the full detail on the spec, exactly what engine spec it was, etc. We knew it drove fantastically well. We knew it was a Sonderwunsch. We knew it was owned by a collector in California originally in its life who used to race 935s and etc. in California, well, all over America. And since then I found a whole lot of information out about it, and I've got to put it in the Spanish video. And I also, because of the engine modifications, I've been itching to find out what horsepower this car really produces. But until I couldn't do it at the time because I needed to run it in, and that's what Spain was all about. And then there was a number of things happening in Spain. That MPG figure, that frightening 11 MPG, I'm going to tell you about the reasons behind that, and also what Steve Winter down at Jaz Porsche found out about this car. So a fairly packed video, background on this pretty special, I think, Porsche 930S. I really enjoyed that trip in Spain, really got to know the car, and it was just an extraordinary, right time of year, empty roads, etc. But there's a but coming, because after we finished filming, we went to Bilbao, went round that museum to see Norman Foster's incredible exhibition he'd put on, and then we had to catch a ferry in Santander. And just on the motorway between Bilbao and Santander, the car suddenly cut out a couple of times, just randomly, going on the motorway, complete cut, came back to life. And that's a bit unnerving on motorways, and I couldn't get it to repeat it. Got on the ferry, that was that, 2 days and a bit back to the UK, came off the ferry, sitting in passport control, it cut out again and would not start. What on earth was going on? We actually had to push it through passport, but I found if I turned it on, started it, went 20 metres, turned it off, it always started again. It was about 10 o'clock at night now, trying to get home, and if you come out of Portsmouth, smart motorway, the car decided to properly cut out on the motorway, and it was on a smart motorway, and I managed, thank goodness, just to get off out the sort of inside lane, live lane, and ended up on this junction. If you've ever broken down on a smart motorway, it is not fun at all. I phoned, first of all, RAC and then the police. 999 is what you're meant to do, and I have to say I was scooped up very quickly. Within 10-15 minutes this car was on a low loader and we were taken somewhere safe, but not an experience I want to repeat. So it really meant this car needed to go down, see Steve, and to run through it. And this is the invoice, several pages of what we did with this car. Turned out the cutout, the reasons it was cutting out was actually a relay that Porsche 930s have that just allow it's termed run on. So you turn the ignition off and the engine will just turn it over a little bit more just to add oil to the turbo. Quite a clever system, but the relay had gone wrong, so it was actually cutting the engine when it was running. Anyway, so that was an easy change. All fluids changed, new brakes I put on it. And he just went through the engine. One of the things I was really interested on was what could we discover about the mechanical changes on this car. I had met up with the previous owner of this car. Just a little brief history. California, came to Germany, registered in Germany in 2019. Freisler Motorsport did the full restoration on it, Turbo S, and they rebuilt it, and the previous owner told me more detail. It is not a 3.3 litre turbo engine, it's 3.4 litre. It's got this bigger turbo, K27, we knew that. Bigger intercooler because it's a Turbo S. It's definitely Turbo S base, one of the 33 produced in 1989 with the G50 gearbox. But the critical bit of information he gave me, which I said, what? It has Porsche 934 cylinder heads on it. So the racing Porsche, Group 4 Porsche, 935 had twin plug heads. Hasn't got those, it's got the 934. And Steve Winter did some investigation on it. You can see it's different, you can see the different bores. But the 934 cylinder head has much bigger inlet and exhaust intake exits in the head. So I think a standard turbo, sorry, it's a number of numbers, is 32 mil and 31 mil. This is, I think, 41 or 42 mil inlet. So nearly a centimetre bigger inlet. So that means it breathes much easier. It has the bigger turbo, has the different exhaust. It is not running a higher compression. They run the same compression and they run the same valves, but they have a cam change. And if you like, it's got a 934 cam in it. I don't think it's quite as wild as that because it's so tractable, and it's that cam change that makes it drive so much better off boost. If you look at the spec, and this is really, you know, geeky, the cam timing on a standard 930 is incredibly mild. It's like the same cam they'd fit to your lawnmower. So this has basically got a cam out of a 2.7 RS or a 3 litre RZ. That sort of more aggressive road cam, normally aspirated, more overlap, etc. And that makes it that much quicker off boost. It's just a higher tune, but it's got the low compression ratio because it boosts to 1 bar. So that's what we discovered on this car. Fascinating. Got 934 cylinder heads on it. I think Kerry Morse must have fitted those post Sonderwunsch. He was an absolute guru with 934, 935. As explained before, he had a collection of 938s. He owned Moby Dick, very famous 935, and he bought all the spares out of Porsche, I think in 1988, the whole thing, $1 million and something he spent on that. So that's what that IMSA sticker is in the back. But I wanted, after having all that information, Steve Winter doing this excellent service on it, I wanted to know how much power this car produced. So what I did, ring Ian Lichfield up, book this car in for a dyno run to see how much power it really does produce. 300 is the standard 930. This being a Sonderwunsch Turbo S spec means it's 330 horsepower standard. But what is it with 934 heads? Let's go there and just see how much power this car really does produce. So I've just arrived at Lichfield Motors, and the Porsche is in the dyno booth and is about to be strapped down. There's a bit of head scratching exactly how we're going to strap this car down because there's an engine in the way where you want to put all the straps at the back. But I just love coming here. The workshops, and it just gets busier every time I visit. The number of GTRs in here, there's Porsche 992s, there's Supra's just arrived, there's Alpine as well. So much work's going on. I thought, while they're just doing this, I'll give you a quick tour around the workshop and see some of the treats that Ian's working on at the moment. Yeah, just kicking off in the car park, the obvious stars are obviously the Nissan GTR and then the little GR Yaris. And we've had our GR Yaris done, as you know. I'm really enjoying it. I've had the suspension on. I haven't actually done anything to the engine so far, but Ian set up suspension and I put those Nitron dampers on it as well. But I've never seen so many GTRs. If you look around here, there's another layer down here, and there's a car park the other side full of them as well. I mean, yeah, amazing too. It sort of reminds me, I need to get another one in again, I think. Interesting to see these GT3 Tourings here as well. And this is, he was just telling me, this is his latest purchase was this really rather nice 993. This is a Carrera S with a wide body and 8,000 miles only from new. There's also a sort of paint shop round the corner where they can change colours, obviously with film now rather than paint. It's really very clever. I keep thinking I ought to do it, but this, yeah, main workshop in here. All sorts there. It's interesting now you're getting 911s, obviously you've been everything's turbo, a lot of those. This is just extraordinary, this GTR here. I was looking at this one, intercoolers, all the going in there, wonderful engine, bigger brakes, I saw Nitron dampers on it, and just this wonderfully done exhaust, huge diameter but tucked in there, so much specialist work. And another area I just want to quickly show is the engine shop. Ian actually does their own block now on the GTR for the super high horsepower. Sorry about the radio. You come down here, if you look at this, there we are, Lichfield hand built in England by Ryan Pickett. So he actually signs the engines, but that is a bespoke engine with a Lichfield block. So you can tell the aluminium block there is bespoke to Ian. There's some engine milled parts as well, just come in. Manifolds there, and a new block to go into some lucky customer there. I'll just swing around. You'll see there's the engine shop there, and plenty of donor engines to go. So it's always so busy here. My car's in there. We're working out how to strap it down, and we'll be doing a dyno run in a minute. That was the power run. I'm eternally grateful to Ian Lichfield for setting that up. 391 horsepower. That's 30% more than standard for a 930 and about 20% over what a Turbo S produces. And then also the similar with the torque, so 360 torque, pound-foot of torque, about 5,000 RPM. The other nice thing was the power was beyond 6,000 RPM. A standard 930 produces its maximum power 5,500 RPM. Not so this one, and I feel vindicated because as soon as I drove this, when I was did a test drive before buying it, I knew it was different to every other 930 I'd ever driven. And also how linear those power curves were as well. That was a really good sign that it all integrates. It's got those 934 heads on it with the bigger inlet tracks and the turbo. It's lively and off boost, and it is a very linear power curve and torque curve. It's worth revving well past 6,000 RPM as well. The power doesn't suddenly drop off a cliff. It's very linear. It's near as damn it the same horsepower as the Testarossa. And the thing about this car is it's light. 1270 kilos is what Porsche reckon on a Porsche 930. I haven't weighed this. Lots of you know I had those scales. Unfortunately, one of the cells is given up, so I've got 3 that work and 1 that doesn't, so I can't give accurate readings and I need to get them replaced. But 1270 kilos means this has a power to weight ratio of about 308 horsepower per tonne. And when you're going over 300 horsepower per tonne, that's good going. Say a 993 turbo, well, that's about 260. You have to go up to something like a Porsche 993 GT2, which is about 325 horsepower per tonne, something like that. So for a 2-wheel drive turbo, a Porsche 911 turbo, this is get going. If I just pull away from here we go. Nice torque at the bottom and then wallop of boost. Lovely gear change. And we're going very quickly. And the other thing I love about this car is it's not in no way would you know it was really modified. You've got the roof wheels on the outside, but it rides really well. It's quiet in here. I've still got the dancing steering that you expect from a 911. So I am very happy with that result. Now, the other thing I haven't mentioned yet, MPG. That was the one that I was gobsmacked at when we went to Spain, was how bad it was on fuel. Steve Winter was very keen to go right through the car to see if he could do anything about that horrific miles per gallon. 11 MPG was not unusual in Spain. When it came back, the first tank I was gently driving around. I did a Silverstone auction videos, those sort of things, and I did a test, and when I emptied the tank, it was 11 mpg again. I thought, no, I can't live with a car that does 11 mpg. I then thought there must be something wrong here, and I had to go and see the Lancia Zagato. That we have a video coming up on that fairly shortly. That was down at Prestige refinishing in Dyno Run, and it was just a cruise down the M40, M25 to Brands Hatch effectively from Oxford, and it 235 miles, and that was more than I could do on a tank at 11 mpg. But I thought, if I just cruise, let's see what it can actually do, best case. Went and did the Lancia, and I was just coming back from the Lancia and realised I had over half a tank left on the way home. Hang on a minute, something's wrong here, and I feel a slight plonker here, but I've got a kilometre speedo there. I'm doing 80 kilometres an hour, and I have tested it. It is absolutely bang on, and I just presumed that the digits were kilometres as well, but no, it's a mileometer speedo, as it turns out, that has a kilometre face on it. So those digits are not kilometres, they're miles. And suddenly my terrible 12-13 mpg, I did that cruise there and back from Dyno Run to see the Lancia. I thought I did about 14 mpg in it. No, I did 22 mpg. It doesn't do 11 mpg at all. It's just, I just guessed wrongly that a kilometre speedo would have kilometres on the mileometer. So there you go, I'm very happy. I've got a chunk of horsepower to get that out of a 930, and to be this tractable, this drivable. I can't believe my luck, really. So yeah, I'm going to carry on enjoying this car, this crazy performance. The things I've got to perhaps do something about the brakes. You know all about performance, because the braking is not up to the performance of the acceleration, and to the seat still annoys because I still can't heel and toe. I can do that, but under braking, tricky. Oh. It's a very exciting car, and I love the fact it just pops. I just heard it pop then, proper flames out the back. So there's the update on my 930S, Turbo S if you like. Hope you enjoyed all this extra detail on it. I really enjoyed this car. I can see it's an absolute keeper in the collection, and there'll be some more videos coming along very soon. Thanks for watching.